New York, okay, yeah. They're gonna bring back undercover police and stuff, you know? He said, that's one way to stop crime. Well, Black Lives Matter president says, well, that's just gonna cause riots and we'll burn shit on the street.
What sense does that make? That tells you they want
Yeah.
chaos.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
This late in the year.
What they need to do is start shooting in.
Lock and load, yeah.
As soon as they see him trying to torch something, boom.
So hopefully we can find some time to get together and you can tour them around.
Jenny, did you watch the basketball game on Tuesday night?
I know.
I did. I was a little upset toward the end.
Yeah, they kinda
Oh my God, they were 20 points ahead and won by 5, 6.
That's Mr. Pete.
A win's a win.
How about you?
I guess 1 point is a win, but you're not 20 points ahead and just kind
I heard you had a real time.
Yes, I did.
Oh, man.
Huh?
Get away from that.
Don't mess with that
But,
stuff.
the
Think what happened, IBC.
vibe on
I
campus
sit at home sick.
of the new coach and everything, so.
Do they not like him?
Oh, they
I was gonna say,
Oh, no, it's very.
I told Larry.
Enthusiasm.
we were,
And how about those spoilers?
yeah, they beat the tar out of someone. Steve.
I know.
That's not what you want to hear.
I hear you. The spoilers.
Well, Ohio State only won by 1 point, and they played, I don't know who. Hello.
Did I see where they said all fraternities and shit can't have parties no more there at IU?
They're trying because there's a lot of.
Well, why else would you go to IU?
I didn't know we did that.
Just
Or any
party.
college,
I was
any
gonna say,
college.
my grandson goes down there all the time. He doesn't go to college, he just goes down to party with them.
Yeah.
That's the hot air balloon.
I remember one year, a long time ago, my brother had, I went down there for the little 500. My brother had this brand new 59 Ford Galaxy, lower cruiser skirts, all this shit, and it was fast.
It was a while ago because it was a brand new 50.
Yeah, I was coming,
$2,500.
hey, I was coming back, old 37 or whatever it was. I passed 9 cars. I'd probably run 110 miles an hour. And when I got by all of them, there was this red, plain red Dodge on the side of the road. I knew what it was then.
But when they're coming down,
So I just eased her down, pulled off the side of the road, and I know it's gonna stop. He blew by me like I was not even there. Then finally he come back. He said, I thought I'd have to chase you, wherever. I said, no, I knew I was speeding. He said, well, I'll tell you what, since you stopped and you knew you were speeding, he says, I'm gonna get you for going 65 and a 55. You gotta go to JP court. I said, okay.
Did you see the thing at Washington High School that happened today? Some lady that was in her 40s takes a gun there, and 3 of the Washington High School kids get arrested. 37 cops, it said 37 cops went to the scene. Why do you need 37 cops on the scene? So if all 37 cops are there, then I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way I see it too.
37 cops,
Yeah,
oh my lord,
I know it's a lot.
it's a bunch. It's way more than we have.
A little different than the, Impala.
What is this, George?
I think it's ours, right?
I know, but what's the $129?
A printer.
It needs to go out to,
Yeah. These people get more printers and computers
They
than
don't
I ever
last.
What
thought
happened?
about.
You want it home quick?
It's like 10 years
Oh,
old.
whatever.
You want it? I'm just gonna throw it away.
No, you can't.
No, you can't.
Why? Well, I'm gonna take it to the Talks Away Day.
Huh?
Take it to the Talks Away Day. You
Well,
can't
wait a
just go
minute,
and
because I
grab it.
gotta,
So when the Talks Away Day come back around,
What about the ledger?
You have to
display
Yeah. Yeah.
are you serious?
I have a
Even
Canon-
it?
I have a Canon 980 copier that I need to get rid of too, so take that with it when you go.
Well, I guess I need to add mine. Well, you already made your list out, so just make out another one like I did last time? Are you serious?
There's a heart attack.
it handles well too.
Okay.
Unless you want to be on the cat show.
I'll just let it sit down there and, I'll let it sit, I'll just let it sit down there and rot in the corner then. That'd be easier.
Nobody drives.
Take it out there and bury it.
I've literally got like,
I can pencil it in, what is it?
well, there's actually, I think there's more than that. There's probably at least 2 computers.
I prefer to drive it over the-
days, and at least 2 printers.
Can I just do that?
Just write 'em in.
Yeah,
Whatever the, and you have a model
Yeah,
number.
we got right-in ballot.
I can get them. Yeah, it's an Epson. Well, the one's in Epson, I know. The other
The
one,
printer is an Epson?
No ice tires.
Is it one, you only have one?
I think I have 2 printers down
They
there.
go to
Never
Epson,
buy a
probably.
printer ink, you just buy the printer, cause it's cheaper than buying a brand new.
Well, Ruth's,
Try to buy
I've
Bruce
bought
printer,
so much
whatever
ink
she
for that
got,
thing,
they send you the
it
ink,
runs out.
and they were supposed to send her the ink, they never sent it, so she went and
I
bought
think
some.
there's actually
I think it's
2 old
And she put it in,
I think
I
it
have
breaks
two
she
up.
got a message
Epson
from,
printers.
you've got the wrong
And my
ink in
copy.
We can
it.
have James.
She said,
And
well,
then what I was thinking
You
to
guys
do,
are supposed to
I
send
got
it, so
some of the
they sent it
computers, I
right
gotta
away.
take the hard drives out.
I
And
said,
throw
how the heck
them
did I
in.
know you got the
And then
wrong
just
ink?
take
Oh,
the
no,
tops
they-
away there.
They turned our printer off because
They'll
we
take
had one of
them.
those.
That way you don't have to pay for it.
I don't know if they have
Contracts.
information back
And
of
so
it.
they turned our
I
printer
know
off
biggest
saying
thing
we
with
print
those
too much.
Yeah.
Remotely, like they logged into our computer.
Are you serious?
And I said,
Right. You get your
hey,
traction
we're gonna
control
follow our
off,
own
it's
ink
only
from
one
now
tire
on.
spins, but it
Keep
keeps
the
it
money,
go.
unlock my printer.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of such a thing.
It's an
That's
HP
insane.
and we signed up for this instant ink, so they keep track of your models and then they send you a hard drive.
I thought about doing that
Turn
at
that off
work.
and usually
But
get
if
going
you're,
again.
if you, they have this, like, amount of ink you're supposed to use in a month. And if you use more, then they say you can't print anymore until next month.
Yeah, cause that ink's on one of those, ships off the coast out there.
In China. It's in China, isn't it?
Do you want to take off? You see the board and Alright.
Basketball season starting.
Yeah, it seems like.
Oh, for Veterans Day, everybody
The whole diamond was full. That's interesting. I wonder if they have here in
Hey, before we start real quick, he's gotta get up early in the morning. This is our new reserve officer, Michael Cochran. So he comes from Plainfield. He was there.
yeah.
Plainfield, how many years?
Well, I met you.
23 years retired.
Depends on who you talk to, whether you're-
John Kelly.
Mike work.
You probably know, my brother-in-law, Billy Castetter,
Yes.
Jason, that's,
He didn't.
I get around.
He wasn't too
Jason
excited about
Castetter,
it.
big
Yeah.
old guy,
huh?
big old dude.
Jason's not, no, he's short.
Oh, no, Rusty, you know.
They'll be out some during the day.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Wait a minute, I gotta get up early too, can I leave?
I gotta get up early too.
Hey, I gotta leave, I gotta go hunt in the morning, I gotta get up. Out in Putnam County, just south of the airport.
Or did you participate in the DNR's
No,
where they closed the park down?
no, I've done that a few years.
Bob Knight visiting,
Oh, yeah, I've been visiting.
Getting overpopulated.
Mike's former player.
Yeah.
Well, I have it right here. I was gonna give it to Doug so he didn't, because me and him were the ones that looked at this and tried to figure it out. Did you send it to Doug also? Okay, we'll look at it tomorrow. You have to work tomorrow?
Average height.
Saturday is my next shift.
I guess my clock's not working.
Small forward.
This one's not?
No, cause this says 3 minutes left and that one says,
So I'm kind of.
Hey,
at least.
You want hunting
We
Saturday
only
morning?
set this clock back 53.
Oh, okay.
I went to Crawfordsville today,
My
to go
bad.
to that Big R, whatever, cause they got my shotgun
I
shell.
probably said it right.
Just north of 36, right before you get to
Well, look at the back
into
of
the
it.
Putnam County line, the biggest buck I ever seen run right in front of my car. Had I been going a mile an hour faster, I would have got him.
Eastern Michigan. And I follow
We were
back.
coming home from Madison
They're normally mid-pack.
Yeah.
a month ago probably, and one went flying right in front of the car that I was driving for. Slammed on the brakes and it just up the hill. Could have carried less.
Should have hit it.
We were up 21.
Tear the car up.
Doc hit a deer with a whole truck.
Yeah.
Truck numbers last night.
Kelly was driving one time, Kelly McGaney, and one
Our New York trip.
jumped into the side of her car.
We're doing the.
Or they can't come through the gate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you get a hoof, like you can get really hurt.
Yeah.
I remember one year I was coming out 400,
We never.
great big buck come blasting out of the corn because they was shelling the corn. And I tried to hit him with my truck, and I swung real high, and then, but I had my four-wheeler in the back. And when I did, my four-wheeler went forward and smashed my back window and all that. But when I went to the insurance, he says, let me ask you what happened. My wife wouldn't do anything. He says, were you driving down the road and something run in front of you, had to slam your brakes on, or did you do something stupid? I said, what difference does it make? He said, well, if you had to go down the road and slam your brakes on, you know, it's comprehensive, there's no deductible. I said, yeah, that's what I was
That's
doing.
exactly what
He was trying to tell me.
Pretty chilly outside.
Yeah. I'll dress
What's it
warm
supposed
in
to, is it supposed, what's it supposed to be down to? Cold like
Do you
starting
hunt?
tomorrow, isn't
Do
it?
you hunt?
To do a
Yeah.
practice run so you can cameras curve.
Well, I got enough, I got stuff you put on. You dress in layers and
They'll go
buy
back and
good
get out.
stuff what they want.
Some hope I have to go to drive. There's a place down there, we're actually staying in New Jersey. Over
My wife's out
600
of town
people
this
going
weekend, it's
down.
like the stars align.
Yeah.
There's something that happened. That'll be fun. We gotta drive up to Wabash. We did it like 3.
I'm glad we're
Yeah.
I'm not taking the buses.
My dad likes to get
But they came out and said it's $100 more.
Then you may go and not see anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's,
Yes, we'll pay the extra $100.
It's still a good time.
yeah.
You see that one where they got the picture of the reindeer and they say, oh, this was walking in front of me 20 years ago.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. We'll stand and say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. First order of business, October minutes and November claim docket. Does everybody have a chance to review those items?
I have reviewed the October minutes and the November claim dockets, and I make a motion that we accept them.
Okay, I have a first.
I'll second.
All right, have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Minutes and claim docket pass. First item on old business is stamp machine. So Jenny and I have looked at some different options for a stamp machine for the office, and I didn't know what you
I haven't really
Kinda
thought about it too
came up
much.
to on. I know one option was that the software that does our billing for Keystone, they will print postcards with the stamp already on it, and then we just pay for the ones that we mail out. But that wouldn't give us any way to stamp anything else. You just would still have to buy stamps for other
Right,
mailings.
right.
Then the Pitney Bowes got back to us a couple weeks ago on what their estimate was. Did you have that with you, or look at what
I think so.
the estimate was?
Maybe not. Nope, I don't.
What about the stamps.com? Has anybody looked at that?
I haven't looked at that. What's that?
You print them off your own printer from the internet. They charge a credit card for them. You don't have to buy any equipment.
Yeah, we'll look into it more.
You'd have to print it. on
Sure, I
the
just got a-
postcard?
I just got a pamphlet. No, you print them. It looks like you print them kind of like an Avery label type thing. It looks like I got it in the mail the other day, and it comes with a sheet of like, I think there was 9 stamps on it. You pop in your printer and it prints. I've used them years ago, but it's probably better now than it was.
Well, the Keystone, we'd have to wait a while because I have so many
Postcards.
postcards left. So,
What we're hoping to alleviate is Jenny sitting in her office and putting a manual stamp on every postcard. She mails out about 370 of those each month.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That
that
defeats the
takes
purpose.
her,
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
her a good 2 hours to sit there and just one stamp on each postcard. So I was thinking it could free up her time if we had a stamp machine or the stamps already printed on the postcard, one of the two. The stamp machine from Pitney Bowes was a much better price bid than the other two we had gotten last month.
Well, would be, the pre-printed postcards, wouldn't that be a better deal though? I meant, does Pitney Moore do that? The pre-stamped on the,
Right, if
Okay.
the pre-stamped on the postcards, the cost wouldn't be any different than what we're paying now.
Yeah.
With the Pitney Bowes machine, we pay the rental fee for the machine, but you also get a significant discount on the stamps because you have a metered machine. The post office just offers you a discount for that. But so it probably would be a wash as far as the cost of the stamps either way. But
The Pitney Bowes is a little more versatile than the other, right? As far as this,
looks like it's about the same functionality. So
But you can use it for all mail, not just.
Yeah, it's more versatile than having it printed on the card.
on the postcard.
right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And what do you do? Just put a stack of them in that just
Well, there's
shoot
two
through there? Or?
two types of machines. There's a semi-automatic machine and there's an automatic machine. The price goes up significantly for the automatic machine, which that's where you set the postcards there and you can just hit a button and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
The semi-automatic one, she would have to actually stand there and feed them through,
Yeah.
but it zips them through fast enough that it would cut her time in half, or even a fourth of the time probably, for stamping all those postcards.
So it's rented, it's not owned.
Correct.
So do they update as new equipment comes out then?
Yes.
So if we grow and we get 10 times as many cards, we could get the self-loading at another point in time if we needed.
Yeah, you rent it for, and the price changes based on the duration of your rental, just like most office equipment. So if we rent it for 3 years, then the price, it's one price. If you only rent it for 1 year, price is a little bit higher, but so find that bid in here.
What about maintenance or repair on them?
It's their machine, so they take care of all of that.
How much is a postcard stamp?
So for 48 months, this Pitney Bowes machine, the semi-automatic one, would be $38.93 per month for the 48-month contract. If we went to the automatic machine, then it jumps up to $111 a month.
What was the first one?
$38.
$40 basically.
Yeah.
But Jenny, don't you have so many cards
It's a big
left?
difference.
I mean, a lot of your sewer bill cards left right now
yeah,
that you would have to use up before,
yeah.
or you would want to use.
No, you could. I could use those for the Pitney Bowes, but not for the Keystone.
Do you have a 1 year information for a 1 year contract?
She didn't send me that. We talked about it on the phone, but when she sent me the bid, I asked for the 48 month.
Okay.
It's cheaper that way, and I don't anticipate us running out of the need to send out sewer bills anytime soon. But
I was just wondering, just see just if we liked it or not. I like the Pitney Bowes myself. Semi-automatic.
yeah, and they would come out and set it up and then do training. They can even set it up with codes, so Jenny could have her own code, and Judy could have a code, and even Jeff and Pete, if they needed to mail stuff on town business, they could have their own code, so we could keep track of who's mailing out how much things or we could have just one code and everybody use the same code. You wouldn't have to have more than one code, but you could.
What do we have to do to move forward with that one?
Probably make a motion, I would imagine.
Yeah, if you want to go with the semi-automatic machine from Pitt and Bowes, we just have to vote on going with that one, and we could contact them tomorrow.
Well, I make a motion we purchase the semi-automatic, or I should say rent the semi-automatic Pitney Bowes.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll contact them tomorrow, and it's probably on a boat out on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
In China.
All right, next item up, 401k. Did anybody think more about that option? From last month, we talked about how town council pay could be altered if you had a 401k that you wanted some of your town council funds to be put into as a pre-tax distribution. You could. Did anybody like that option, or?
I don't need it.
I was gonna say, I'm not interested in it, but.
Okay. All right.
Steve?
I would use it if we had it, but I don't really need
Okay.
it.
All right. We'll move on to the next item. We'll table that, or I guess we'll scrap it. American Legal Publishing, Jane.
You and I had some questions about some of the ordinances, and Graham got back to me yesterday. I don't know
Okay.
whether you want to look at them now or look at them tomorrow and decide what we want to do with them. I don't think it's anything that has to be voted on. We just need to decide how to go about sending them into American Legal Publishing.
Okay. I know one of the ordinances had a reference that tied it to an incorrect ordinance that had to do with parking. Instead of definitions for the park dusk until dawn idea. So it was ordinance 2018-03 where the council passed an ordinance closing Lambert Park from dusk till dawn, and then the definitions were not, or in the definitions line they referenced the parking ordinance for those two spots over on Kentucky instead of referencing it to a definitions ordinance. So we either have to change that in the ordinance.
Is it dusk to dawn or dawn to dusk? What was it?
Dawn is in the morning.
I know, but wasn't it something
dusk.
weird? I don't remember. It's been a day or two.
With that, I guess I kind of brought up the question to me. I thought we do a lot of things at the park that go beyond sundown. So was there an issue with things going on in the park after sundown that we wanted it closed, or do you remember? John, Leanne?
I think it was for hopefully to keep activity down when there's not something going on there at night,
I
hopefully.
think if the shelter house is rented out, it should be exempt.
I mean, the shelters both have lights,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, built into them and stuff, so we have things.
Is there
that
some,
go on
is there an
in the
exemption
yard.
in that for the shelter house rental?
No, with the way the ordinance is written, it just says it's closed from dusk till dawn.
I vaguely remember when we talked about that.
Did we have cameras in 2018 down there?
Yeah. It's not like we do now, but we did.
Yeah, I think it was just intended for, trying to keep kids out of there, running around.
Keep vandalism down at night.
Vandalism down. I don't think that it was meant to be.
It was just giving us a
If you-
tool
if
to
you
have
rent-
people
yeah,
tell them
if
that
you've
it's
rented
park's
the shelter,
closed.
You have to get
Yeah.
out of there if it's,
Right.
it's dusk, so,
Of course, in the summertime, I mean, it's 10 o'clock, 9:30 at night.
yeah.
It just gave us, it does give us another tool to try to, you know, keep vandalism down, problems, you know.
So we wanna keep the ordinance of closing the park from dusk till dawn, but amend it so that
So
it
there's
has.
if there's an
correct-
event, they're exempt. If there's an event in the park, it's exempt, I guess, some type of language like that.
Or if they rented it.
Yeah, rent, you know, rental or, yeah, if the shelter house, yeah, I don't know how you'd really word that, I guess.
Yeah, how about if it's if the shelter is rented through the town, you know, reserved and rented through the town, that there's an exception, and then if there is a town-sponsored event there's an exception.
Okay, so an exception for rental and town-sponsored event, but otherwise closed from dusk till dawn, and then just change that, amend that reference for the definition of what dusk and dawn mean.
I think we need to put signage up too, would be nice.
There's a sign out there at the,
The dusk to dawn sign.
right, says it's closed at night.
I'd like to get rid of all the signs and start over though, at the park. Because the signs at the street don't look very welcoming.
I agree.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know. We can talk about that at some point.
Right. And maybe you guys could, you and the town managers could get together and
Yeah.
talk about some ideas for that.
Yeah. This gives us that tool to enforce the ordinances.
Okay. All right. So anything else on 2018-02? Does that sound like you got enough information there, Graham, to do an amendment on those?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Parking in Kentucky.
yeah, there was some conflict with just titling of some of these. Like we had the parking on Kentucky is a 15-minute parking
Right.
only, or at least those two spots that were meant to be for the liquor store that then shortly closed after we passed the ordinance. And then, but I don't know how a parking time limit would even get
I
enforced.
don't know how you would enforce it, yeah.
So do we?
Because there's really no way to enforce time parking anymore unless there's a meter. You can't chalk tires anymore. The court struck that down. So there's really no way to do it unless you have an actual meter. So.
Oh. So metered parking would be the only way to put a time limit
Pretty much,
On.
yeah.
on a parking space.
Right.
So is that ordinance something that we need to repeal, or?
I would think so, considering it's not a liquor store anymore. Too, it's just a vacant building.
Yeah, I think we should repeal it, cause we,
I'll second that.
The new team
Alright,
goes
do
in
we
there
have-
and wants it, then they can come to the board and ask.
That was in 2015. I don't see the actual number of what that ordinance was, so 2015 something. Did you have that, Graham, on what ordinance that was? 2015-01.
01, yeah.
2015-01 is the 15-minute parking sign limit. So
Okay.
what do we have to do to repeal that?
Basically pass a repealing ordinance.
Okay.
Basically the same process.
So that'll have to wait till next month for us to draft a repeal. All right. Very good. I think that was all on the American Legal Publishing questions. So that fixes those problems. Any other questions on that? And that, now with those fixed, they'll update our online version of the ordinances that we have. All right. Next up on the agenda, Lighthouse Mural on the food pantry. Last month we talked about that, and the town council asked for an example or a sample of the work that this artist would do, and they have not gotten back to me. So next is Dave with Civic Plus, or the website proposal.
Right, so I sent everyone some information, or basically a breakdown of the cost. Did everybody get a chance to give that once, twice, thrice over? So I'm hoping we can kind of get this off the ground if possible. Did anybody have any questions on that?
I liked the proposal that they gave, where the option of paying it over 3 installments
Right.
in 3 years, so
Right.
that was helpful.
Yeah, so that when you look at the pricing and the breakdown of it, it's really not as much as once you remove then the yearly fee that we would normally encounter with that over the first 3 years. So I think it would be a great benefit to not only the town council, but it would also be a benefit to the planning committee and to wastewater treatment, and then any other kind of town sponsored group we would want to kind of tag in there to have some space to get information out whenever they need it. So I'm hoping we can find a resolution on that tonight.
Okay, did anybody have any specific questions for Dave about the website or what this proposal will do for us?
So Dave, would you like monitor that then? And so that if somebody, let's say George put something on there and it wasn't something that we really wanted to have, that you could monitor that to say,
Yeah, I think
manage it or whatever?
I think there's first of all, they have, professionals that will review whatever we're gonna throw up there. And we can probably set settings to where, if I threw something up there, there could be someone else that would review that before it would go live. So if George were to put something up there, a photo that was not appropriate, or something going on,
That's my pretty face.
we could have that approved first before it would go, and it could go to any number of us, or anyone to kind of just give that a second set of eyes to approve that to go on. So yes.
well, I'll make a motion that we go with the program.
All right, I have a first motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? and this has to do with the having Civic Plus take over, design, and publish our website.
They'll host, publish, and manage content if we want them to manage the content, and then also allow us to have the ability to put content up on there. We can have sections and pages where the content is solely kind of static, and then we ask them to change it, or we can also have pages to where, like for instance, a feed of what's going on here tonight. We could have that, so we could publish that on our own.
Very good.
So.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions or comments on that? All right. Next we have Anti-Discrimination ADA Compliance Resolution. I believe, Jeff, that's your ball of wax.
Yes, and been working on that. I need to get some stuff over to Graham. I've got a couple things to finish up to get it over to Graham, so I'm not quite ready yet to bring that to council. I was hoping to get it ready, but some other things got me sidetracked.
All right, we will table that for next month. And another old business. Last month we had a resident come talk to us about speeding, which we've talked about speeding in the town council meetings before. We've had some, just different issues in town. I did some research and sent you guys an article about traffic calming devices and ideas to help with speeding that go beyond just enforcement from our law enforcement folks. One I found was some more of those radar reporting signs.
We purchased one. We need to get some solar because
the ones I found are solar powered. They also have a message that we can put on there. So the ones that they have demonstrated say thank you if you're going the speed limit.
Well, the ones I found the most effective at Danville actually gives you a smiley face if you're not speeding. It gives you a frown face if you're speeding. It really it works with the kids.
The nice thing about these is they also collect data for us. So you could look at data as if we post them someplace in town, it'll tell you here's the number of cars that went by, here's the number of cars that were speeding. All kinds of neat data, and it's all goes to a cloud server, and you just download it, and so your officers can review that information. The town council can review that information. We can post it on our new website, whatever we want to do, but it would give us kind of a feedback to know, are we making progress? Is this, a hopeless battle, that kind of stuff. So
there's only a handful of places you can put them to. It'd be in fact they can't go on 39, so it'd be by the library, 500 Kentucky Street, Michigan. I mean, there's a few places we could put them. But
I know Avon had one on 36, which is also.
I don't know. I got threatened letters from the state.
We reached out to the town manager, just asked, what permissions did you get, kind of thing, and then I also
we got State Highway actually sent us a letter and called me and threatened to, if we don't take it down, that they were going to take legal action. So I don't know what they did to get around it.
Right. Well, I asked I sent the Department of Transportation an email also and said, what permissions do we need to get to have traffic calming devices put up on 39 in town to keep our residents safe, is how I worded it. So we'll see what they say.
They replied yet.
They say on their website that you don't expect a reply for 60 days.
They brought one out for a while. State Highway actually did put it in front of the school, but then it was only here for maybe a week. The problem is the one that we do have is on Kentucky Street. It lasts about 4 days, and I've got to charge each battery in it separately, and then put it back out, and then it runs for about 4 days and it's dead.
The ones I found have 2 batteries in them. They're charged solar, but you can also take them out and charge them in a
This one we have now, you have to actually take it down.
Right.
Take the batteries out.
Yeah. So
you don't have the bunny rabbit?
No.
It keeps going and going.
That's right. Yeah, I mean those take a lot of juice to run. It's got to run.
The solar is the way to go.
Yeah. So these are, there's 2 of them for, what is it, $54.99. $54.99. So we can get 2 of them, and again, it collects the data.
2
it's
for
solar
for
panel for $5,900.
That's about.
No, $54.99, $5,500.
$5,500.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If that's the price for 2, that's pretty decent.
The other $400 was for the install.
That's right. Or to carry it around.
So, according to the, some of the studies from NHTSA and other traffic people, the traffic calming part of that, which this thank you and the slow down messages help a great deal with reducing speed. So, but I thought those were not a bad deal.
How easy are they to move around? Do you know? Because I would suggest we make them to where they're movable. Because if you put something in there for like a year, people ignore it. Really need to be able to move it.
Yeah, these look like they mount just like the one you have. So you just have to find a post to put them on. We have extra posts that we can mount them to and then move those around wherever you want them. So you guys would just pick a spot where you think these would be most effective. Places.
Well, I know where they'd be most effective, but we can't put them out there.
Collect the data, see what the data tells us, and move them.
You can focus your patrols better.
Yeah.
You can focus your patrols on the high volume times when you have an increased amount of speeding. Yeah, there's some benefit to it.
All right. So anybody have any questions on the radar speed limit signs?
Are you wanting to purchase them?
I think we should.
What's the brand? What company is it?
Elon City Evolus radar speed sign. Evolus, E-V-O-L-I-S. Portable, affordable, and extremely effective. So what we're
I would question the extremely effective. I've been using those for a while, and I think they do help, but I don't know that they're extremely effective.
You can order additional mounting bars to be pre-installed at designated locations for only $49 a piece.
So you probably need a few of those.
So there's the extra $500 right there.
Yeah, you're going to need a few of those.
Do you want to review this for?
Probably need to.
And then we can bring it up again next month. And
do you have it electronically?
Yeah.
I
think I sent it to you via email, didn't I?
If you guys want to go ahead and approve the purchase, and then I can, with a set dollar amount, and then I can figure out what's the best option.
And I can see whether we have the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
So if the board wants to go ahead and authorize it.
Yeah.
Would that be able to come out of motor vehicle highway since it's traffic calming?
I'd like to take the one that I have out of service because it just doesn't work. It's so.
Well, I make a motion that we purchase the traffic radar signs, 2 of them.
Okay, I got a first motion.
I'll second that.
Second motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
So the dollar amount's around $5,500.
$5,500. But wait, if you order now,
if you buy 2 now, you get an extra
get a third one.
Free.
I think maybe we could even put a survey out. I mean, everybody's going to respond to it, but try to identify some areas that people feel like they have issues in front of their house. Maybe we could look at trying to help people out by moving it around in those areas that they feel like is a concern. I don't know.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Sure, we can do that. All right, on to new business. First thing, transfer of funds. Jenny?
In the general fund, I'm transferring $250 from dues and school fees to electronic office and $2,500 from annexation to legal fees. And in the motor vehicle highway fund, from stormwater to operating supplies, and in street signs and posts, $535.79, $6,165 in the first one, and $535.79, and that's to pay for the salt spreader. that we bought last month.
Okay.
So it's a total of $9,450.79.
79
Say
cents.
it again.
$9,450.79.
And all of this is to pay for the
The
salt program?
top one is just things that were run out of money, like electronic office where we do the laptops and stuff for the thing, and the other one is legal fees for the attorney.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, I make a motion to transfer $9,459.79.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Transfer the money. Next up is Boyce contract for annual license for 2022.
The key billing is $2,085. Key fund is $2,155, and so is the payroll, $2,155. So it's $6,395 altogether, and Doug needs to sign this. This is our yearly fees that we pay them every year.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on it? All right.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Do those costs creep up every year, or is it pretty much consistent?
No, it's been about the same thing every year.
I make a motion we accept it.
All right. I got a first motion.
I'll second it.
Second motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right. Next up, we have our chair of the Planning Commission here to talk about an amendment to the sign ordinance for the UDO related to signs. So, Rob Miranda, you're up.
I'm a little lost here because I thought we were going to talk about money for the.
You can talk about that too. It's on here also. Whatever order you'd like.
Okay. We have a proposed amendment on the sign ordinances. Our sign ordinance did not fit any of the signs in town. It was, the ordinance was, I'm sure at the time we done that, was all copied from other town ordinances. So we've got a proposal out for a 30 square foot maximum. So you can have that 1 foot wide and tall and 30 foot long, or however you want to do it. 10 foot maximum height, and then we've got some precautions in there for the traffic triangle and things like that. We're looking to have the council adopt a change of that, and we've got, I didn't bring a copy of that with me because I wasn't totally there. I had the other thing on my mind when I left the house. But we can get a copy of that so that we can look at making those changes to the ordinance.
To address that first.
Huh?
You want me to address that?
Yes, please. Bail me out. Because I'm sinking fast.
First of all, the Plan Commission has to take action to make the change to the UDO, make a recommendation to council. I have placed the public notice in the paper for our December meeting to update that sign code. Right now, what he's talking about is a freestanding sign, like the sign out in front of Town Hall, is a non-conforming sign. It doesn't meet the sign code. And we're talking about one for Copper Top, putting a permanent sign in, is what really brought this up. At the schools, freestanding sign doesn't meet code. A number of them in town don't meet code. And by making this change in the town business district and institutional district, would bring all those back into conforming situations. It does have a side triangle, so if you're near a corner, there's things we can do. She couldn't put her sign right there at where 39 turns the corner because of the side triangle. Even with the little side street, we have to do some modifications, but it will allow those to be conforming in town and allow that to be an option for businesses.
So you'll have a public hearing in December?
Yes.
Okay.
What he's hoping to have happen is have the public hearing for the Plan Commission on the first Tuesday of December. And then
That
if
same
it
week, Thursday.
passes,
before
then
council.
that same week we'll
Okay.
have a public hearing here to see if the town council will also approve it and allow it to be an amended ordinance. So that's why Rob wanted to make sure to bring that up today, is because next month it's going to happen. Boom, boom. So anybody got any questions about the sign, the UDO and sign ordinances in the business district or institutional?
If there are signs, and I don't know if there are, if there's signs that don't fall under what you're going to propose, what happens to those signs around town?
If they're grandfathered, they'd be legal non-conforming, so they'd be grandfathered in.
Okay.
The only one I would be questioned would be your sign on the height.
Yeah,
I think it's
it's
over
higher
10
than 10 feet.
It's higher than 10 feet.
Yeah.
But I think yours is the only one that's freestanding higher than 10 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty tall. I think probably 12, 15 feet.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there were any at all, but so
That's the only one I could think of.
It's also not in the way of anything over there.
No,
either.
it's just the pole. The
Yeah.
sign itself. The sign itself is within the parameters.
Yeah, your pole would probably, because I've got this set, it is a foot off the property line, so it has to be set back 1 foot on the property. And your pole is probably right on the property line.
Well, you just screwed it up all the way around, didn't you?
But yeah, I did to look at, it's from the church on the south side, there's a number of these signs that are non-conforming. You're probably bring your stuff into a more conforming situation as well.
We had an ordinance and nothing mad. It was just kind of ironic because I walked around and measured a bunch of signs and you go, huh, that's been here forever and it doesn't meet it, and this one doesn't meet it, and this one doesn't meet it. And yeah, we need to change something. So that was a observation that Jeff made. So.
All right, anybody got any more questions for Rob or Jeff about the sign ordinance? All right, and then next is the comprehensive plan update.
The one thing I was actually prepared to actually say something about, and I forgot about the other one. So we did a comprehensive plan when we took our zoning back in 2007, 2008. There's a book out that showed our comprehensive plan as a binder. I can't even tell you who done it at the time. Keyser and Associate was kind of in charge of that. So we had a company come in, Taylor, Seeker, and Williams, and they do this kind of thing. They do the surveys that have to be done. They've kind of got a phase system here that they go through. You look at your existing conditions and those kind of things. They'll take our old master plan book and look at it and go through it and look at existing conditions currently in the town. There's some surveys that have to be done, public surveys, meetings, and those kinds of things. It's about a year process to get it done right, with all by the time publishing and everything's done. But by our own plan commission's rules, we're supposed to update this every 10 years, and we haven't done it since we initially adopted this. So what I'm looking for is, Doug and I have had some conversations in the meeting about Oprah grants, and can we get some grant money to help pay for this, and Oprah will grant money for this. I guess we just missed it when we processed the last time. We didn't quite meet the standard, so we're looking at what kind of matching funds could we come up with to get an Oprah grant to help us get this. This company is really flexible about what they're doing. They showed us a plan that was $50,000 to do, but it come in almost like a textbook format. It was looked like an encyclopedia almost of your. I don't think we need that. We need a working document to work out of. Our original one was basically a binder with a lot of just printed pages in it, and you could make notes on it. I'd really like to see that. Kind of is what I'd like to see this time again. He said they've had plans as cheap as the 25 and up to the the 50,000. I'm kind of looking in the 25 to 30,000 range. So what I guess my thing to the council is that I need to know what kind of matching funds we could possibly come up with as we apply for a grant again, maybe in the next quarter to get this done, so we can get another 10 years on the books. I guess my opinion is that, you know, at the $30,000 mark, we're gonna need probably somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 to make match.
We reached out to Mike Clayton, our grant administrator. He was the one that they have a formula that Ochre uses that you have to get to this number in order to successfully be awarded a grant. And we were shy by about 5 points. And he said the way to fix that would be to increase our grant match part. So I guess Jenny's quickly thumbing through budget pages to see what we have.
We have 25,000 in the edit fund. $25,000 in the general fund. This is for next year.
Correct.
Looks like that's all.
Okay.
50,000.
So would the town council be comfortable with approving 10,000 of that as a grant match for applying for an Ochre grant to get our comprehensive plan update started, in the first or second quarter of 2022?
Did Mike give us a number on what would be comfortable with applying to that so we could get the grant? Because a couple of times before we applied for Ochre grants, we kind of missed the mark on it.
The last time you applied, you had no match with it. So just by putting the match, you would get some points. And I'm thinking like Doug, somewhere between that $6,000 and $10,000. I would say authorize $10,000, and he's got a formula that he can kind of see what some of that's going to score.
Yeah, and I can email Mike back and say, would a $10,000 match bring us up over that number? Like I said, we were very close. So
we'll start by saying if 6,000 or 10, see what he says about the lower number.
Yeah, I can do that.
I would be okay with approving up to 10. If I wanted to keep it be a delay in this. Yeah. How much time do we have before we have to have a grant in?
Ochre allows an application for a comprehensive plan update grant every quarter. So 4 times a year they have opportunities. So
I'll make a motion we approve up to $10,000 for the new book.
okay, we got a first motion.
Second that.
All right, got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we will contact Mike about that grant match, see if that changes the Ochre numbers. Thanks. Thanks, Rob. Next on the agenda, I have Cindy Hardison would like to talk about parking in town. Cindy, you're up.
Yeah, we understand, Jeff and I understand that 39 South and 39 North are not controlled by Clayton. We understand that. Right. Our question is, even with us acquiring the alley and creating a south entrance off of our own parking lot from our other building, we still are going to have customers who are not going to come into either Copper Top or Gypsy's Den, which rents the building from us, in inclement weather, especially once the ice and the snow get, more prevalent. Even today with the rain, there were people trying to find parking spots. I have tried to have a workaround by parking our truck in that one spot so that if a vendor comes to unload furniture or to pick up furniture, or a customer is due to come to pick up furniture, that I can at least have them on the side, you know, near the front of the building, instead of having to take it down the steps of the deck. So our request, mine and my husband's, is that could we implement, a time period, a time restriction on how long someone could be parked in front of the buildings that we bought, because looks like one building, but it's 3, and, kind of share that a little bit with the other businesses. It's not meant to complain, but the roofing company in particular, takes all those spots, or at least 3 of those spots, for anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day on a regular basis. So I didn't know if there was something we could do. I guess in the past you had a 1 to 2 hour parking sign. I think you used to have a liquor store that had that in front of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've only been here about 10 and a half years, so I'm not sure. I don't recall ever seeing a short-term parking sign, but I've been told that that was the case. I didn't know if that was something we could implement, because they already took 1 spot away for that sightline triangle that you're all talking about. And so that would have been the one directly in front of Gypsy's Den. So then that means there's 3, and then that odd one that I keep kind of like putting the truck or the car in where it's angled funny. So that's not a lot for 2 stores. That's vendors, that's customers, that's us. So that's just not a lot of parking. I didn't know if that was something the town would approve, if we had maybe a 2-hour time limit, or what your suggestions were for a time limit.
Well, let me suggest this. They're talking about this place over here moving, from what I understand. Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The movement. I don't know how soon they're gonna move. But until then, maybe one of us could go over and talk to them, ask them could they park their trucks over here in the lot behind the grocery store. If their trucks are just sitting there all day, I don't see what it would do to park on that lot back there. I'm sure they would probably do it, but then that would leave you all that open.
You can try that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we
Yeah.
have not already made that attempt.
Oh.
We have in some ways. And they've also had a trailer that's empty, so it's not even for deliveries.
Yeah.
So a big pickup truck and a trailer sometimes takes 2 of the spots. I think they can pretty much see a lot of people going in and out and trying to bring the dolly down, go down off the sidewalk
Yeah.
because we can't get on the part that's meant for that. You can try that. Good luck with that. That's awesome. That'd be great. But it's been going on now for 8 months, so I don't think that's probably going to happen. But that'd be great if it would. So.
Well, I'll go talk to them first and
Okay.
see what happens then. They may move and may not, but I don't know what their time frame is for moving out of that building,
I don't know. I've heard for the last 3 months they were going to move. So
but I'll find out what that is too. So, but if they would do that, that would leave you the
right, and
3
it's not
parking
ours.
places there, and even
Yeah. I don't expect to always have those
Yeah.
spots available. We did buy the building with the idea that there'd be parking occasionally available in front of it. There just isn't.
One thing also, I don't know if you were here for the discussion about parking enforcement, and Matt was talking about it's darn near impossible to do parking enforcement unless you have a meter where they pay to park there,
That's true. Yeah.
which would affect your customers and your vendors as well if they had to pay to park there as well.
It's just a matter of timing, how long they've been there.
Yeah.
In the past, you'd be able to chalk a tire, come back an hour later, if it's still there, then you can enforce it. Well, the courts say we can't chalk tires. Danville can't do it on the square anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no way other than a parking meter to determine that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, you could put it up there, people could hopefully just abide by that, but
That was our hope, that the visual would be enough of kind of a deterrent to stay there
Yeah.
all day long, but, you know, we weren't talking about ticketing or fines or anything like that, more just a visual, hey, this is for short-term parking only kind of thing, but again, if you can't, you can't.
Well, we can investigate
Yeah.
parking meters to see how much and what the impact that would be. Just we might as well look into that, and then that way, if there's something to be done, we could go down that road.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you. Next up on the agenda, declare copier of no value.
Okay, it's a Canon PC 980 copier, and then George has 2 Epson printers and 2 computers to declare no value.
All right.
They've had them forever. I was just gonna give them the Toxaway Day, but I guess we gotta have them on the baby.
That's,
You can still give them the Toxaway
Yeah,
Day, but it
so
has to be after we
Exactly.
that's his
Formally,
story, he's
Right,
sticking to
formally,
it.
yeah.
say they're not worth anything to the
They've
town.
been collecting dust forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And then those speakers that I have in there, oh Lord.
That are big as your head.
I think those
You gonna
Like
put those on the
about
list
this big
too?
around? Yeah.
Okay. What else do we need to put on the list? We got the old furnace is still down in the basement. We get rid of that.
I got rid of all my stuff.
I know you did,
Yeah.
but when they put that heat pump outside last year, they just left the old furnace. They disconnected it and just slid it over down the wall a little bit.
Future
It's still
use.
sitting down
Might need to use it later.
there. Right.
Do you have to declare that surplus to get rid of it? The old furnace?
I bet a scrapper would come get that.
Well, declare it a surplus and then we can have a scrapper come get it.
Yeah.
Well, if we do that, I know somebody will come get it for you.
Yeah.
Robbie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I put it on there, old furnace.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm sure we walk around, we could find
I'm
something.
sure.
All right. What else do we got? Is that it?
I think so.
Okay. We have a consensus that those things are of no value to the town?
I agree.
All right. Very good. All right, next is contracts for town employees. And
I gave
I
you
believe
guys all a copy.
we sent a question to Graham, right?
Mm-hmm.
About that? What was the
His answer is?
official ruling?
Yeah, so I think this is likely something that the council can choose if it wants to enter into contracts or wants to simply proceed with the salary ordinance without contracts. I haven't seen these particular contracts, but that's the general framework. I think it's a discretionary decision.
Yeah, the employees we currently have are all just standard salaried employees and not contracted employees with that. So Jenny was, why am I typing these up every year? We've hired him, kind of thing. So does everybody feel like they're comfortable having a salary ordinance cover our current hired employees and not have to make them sign a contract every year?
I'm good for it.
Do we need a vote on that or a consensus?
Yeah, you just would vote on the salary ordinance.
Okay.
I make a motion, we just have the salary ordinance that have contracts for the town employees.
Which everybody's got a copy of the salary
Yeah.
ordinance for next year's salary 2021-16 covers all of our employees.
Yeah, on my contract, it says the trustee will be paid $25,000 each 6 months biannually. Is that right?
You're not
For
reading all
all
the
5
way.
of them.
This way,
John thought he got a raise.
it doesn't say anything about like vacations and stuff like that. Is that all just assumed or what?
Is that not, that's not in the salary
That's-
ordinance?
No, there's nothing in here about vacations or sick days or.
Yeah, all the
Well,
stuff that's in the
that's-
contract can be built
That's
into
the other part
the
of,
salary ordinance if you wanna go that route
This one.
without the contract.
which makes it 42,000.
That makes sense. The compensation
What about that on the second page where it says vacation?
And that can be, yeah, that can be added to it, we can do this, sign this in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think that should be in there so that there
Yeah.
is no question about,
Yeah.
I mean, we know how much you're gonna get paid, we just don't know what their other benefits are.
That's a good point.
All right, so we'll work on that in the next month. Jenny will just
Okay.
add what time off they get.
And then I'll just send a copy to everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for typing that up. And next on agenda, online bill pay. So Jenny and I have looked at lots of different options. Turns out North Salem State Bank actually has a way to do some online bill pay. Jenny's still talking with
The lady that was supposed to call me doesn't work there anymore, so they're so they're trying to find whoever is going to take her place now to call me.
Okay. There are lots of options. We found that our Boys Keystone that we already have an agreement has a way to do it. There's paygov.org that we found. Just some different ones that we hope will give Jenny a little bit more satisfaction with customer service and keeping the correct email on file and those kinds of things. So I know with the current online bill pay system we're using, we've had a few times where we've given a resident a late fee because we didn't see that they paid, but they had the receipt. And then when she went back and looked, sure enough they had paid, it just didn't show up. So, and talking to them is rather difficult because they have 3 different companies within their, and so when you call the one, they say, oh, that's the other. They pass the buck. So
It's a bad system.
yeah. So hopefully, and my recommendation, I guess, since none of these cost anything for the town to be involved in, is I was kind of the mindset Jenny's going to be the one using this. Jenny and Judy are going to be the ones using this. So if they find one they like, can we just approve that they have the authority to switch us to that once they make that determination?
Any of them have paperless options?
Paperless billing. I mean, I don't know if they would have that also or not. But that would.
Mainly the state machine.
That may be through Keystone.
I know with the Keystone one, they have what they call the invoice cloud, and the customers can log in and actually see how much they owe. So if you were behind by a month, you would see both of those. So that one might have that online or paperless billing kind of mindset there, but.
Well, I'll get a hold of that Scott guy and
Yeah, he didn't call me back this week, but is everybody okay with that mindset of the clerk and the deputy clerk can just find the system that works for them and then make that switch when they get to that?
Okay.
And then let us know.
Yeah.
All right, next up on the agenda, Chief Olf. You're up.
Not a whole lot. Halloween went well, with no issues. We had a couple officers out. I was out, and then the new officer, Officer Cochran, was out. And lots of kids. Everything was safe. We stopped a few cars, a few speeding cars, but overall it went really well. I'm still working through policies and procedures. I'm hoping to have that done in the spring. It's just been really time consuming. It's a huge project. So kind of give you an update on that. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Any questions for me?
You started your search for your assistant town
Yeah.
manager?
So my plan on that is probably to formally announce that in January, and then look to hopefully hire someone in February. It's kind of my goal.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking right now. I've got a couple people that express some interest, internal and external.
All right.
Again, with the primary focus of day shift. We've tried to I've sent emails out trying to get the staff to come out and to do some more day shift patrols, and they have been out a few times now. So we're trying to increase that coverage during school hours.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions for Chief Levine? Alright, Chief Russell, got anything for the fire department? Huh?
Did you get my report?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, nothing additional.
Alright, very good. And George Burnett,
3 things, I think.
3 things.
3 things. So the company doing that lining finally got rid of that concrete anchor that was down there on the corner. So not sure how they got rid of it, but they did. So that's out of the way and gone. Plant's running good. Everything's doing well. So no issues there. Nothing to bring up. No concern.
The weirs been fixed?
Those guys still haven't come out. I've called them. You know, we paid them. I'm just gonna keep pounding them.
Okay.
Get in here. So I'll stay on top of it. They still got their padlock on there, so I'll probably call him again next week if he's not out by then.
Okay.
Then third thing was wanted to inquire about cashing in my vacation in lieu of taking it for this year. That's something that we could, if the board would have any issue with that.
Didn't we just do that last year? You don't ever take vacation?
I have always in the year past. This year I just too many things going on. So I mean I can take it and have somebody do something, but I'm going to be here, so I'm not going out of town. Too expensive to go anywhere, so I would just.
Let's go, Brandon.
Why not? That would save us money anyway, wouldn't it?
If you
No, we're
went on
still gonna
vacation.
pay him.
Yeah, but we don't have to pay somebody to come
But we
in,
don't pay
right?
somebody near as much as he makes.
Well, you just pay me. It's just the same amount anyway. That you would pay somebody else. Is that how that works?
No. Somebody else doesn't make near as much as you do.
Alright, so what do we need to do to?
I don't know, is there anything in your
Cash out.
contract though that says something
No, because
about?
you looked at it last year that it was up to the board just to say, okay, instead of doing it, we're just going to cash it out.
Okay. At one time it said something if you didn't
Yeah.
take it, you could only get 2.
Yeah, that's still in there that I could roll over another. You can roll over a week.
But there's no sense in that because you haven't taken vacation for 2 years.
Pardon?
I said there's no sense in that because you
Oh,
haven't taken
right.
vacation for 2 years.
Hopefully, maybe next year.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just up to you guys.
Okay, so do we wanna let George cash out his vacation time?
Only if he buys pizza.
Pizza's on house. Let's go.
I'll make a motion. Okay.
Okay, got a first motion,
I'll say.
second motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
Appreciate it.
you get your
I'll use it wisely. I promise to.
You have to buy everybody a Christmas present now.
All right.
Did you get back on track with those flow meters? I know we had talked about it, and then that company changed their mind and said we don't really want to do this anymore.
Yeah. No, I've still not found out. I'm just gonna manually do it. I'm just gonna manually when it rains go pop a manhole and look. Just do it the old-fashioned way. I've not found anything that's cheap enough.
Don't fall in.
I'm not falling in.
All right.
I've found some, you can find some interesting things just by looking. So I'm just gonna peek in the hole and look, see what I can work.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Save us some money.
Got it. All right. Moving on. Unless anybody else has anything for George. All right, Jeff, you're up.
Well, I got a number of things. Number one, we do have a new maintenance manager, Walter Marshall. I think some of you may know him. He was here earlier. I wish he'd have tapped me before he left. But he's a night janitor at the school, part-time, and also coaches the golf team at Cascade as well. So been doing some good things. I know Pete went out with him and showed him some ropes, and he's made some improvements in here with some of the lighting and some other stuff. Helped get the park all cleaned up, and it's really nice having a maintenance person back, so we don't have to go out and mow myself or Doug or John. and other things. So, and he did get I think you helped him with the park, right? To winterize the park.
Yeah.
So that has been done. So I'll get him here at a meeting and introduce him to everybody. Update on 319 Martha Eunice. It's a sewer lateral where somebody had bored through it, putting one of the cables in. Sparklight, the cable company, wrote her a check last week, and her son is working with somebody to get that fixed. So took a little bit of work to figure out and badger the contractors into coming out here and taking a look, and finally got it done. So a couple more things on the Plan Commission. Besides the sign code, Dwayne Lane is going to be platting the final plat on the 5029 Iowa Street for those two duplexes that were approved, the zoning change a while back. So that will be a Plan Commission that doesn't have to come back here in December. Working with two separate individuals on alley vacates that will most likely be here in December as well. One's on Pennsylvania and the other one's on York. At the Plan Commission meeting, we talked about the zoning map update. Right now we're trying to get all the changes that were made from 2011 to current, so we know what's the current map, and then I can have that produced. Citywide paving, talked to them. Pennsylvania Street, that will be pushed to the spring now, unfortunately, with the weather. The timing didn't work with the contract. And while I'm on contractors, I have been in discussion with Wallace Construction about the Iowa Street sidewalk. They're having trouble getting concrete right now, and they're backed up on their job. So I talked to him late last week again for the third time, trying to get him to do that. So I'll work with both of those to get those set. Most likely Citywide Paving will do that in April. They need to really have that above 60 degrees, and we're hitting that time period where we're going to get below that rather quickly. Doug got notice and forwarded to me about the playground equipment. The tentative arrival dates for that will be January 18th through the 22nd. So that is moving forward. We'll keep everybody up to date on that.
Do they have to pour concrete or anything for that, or where are they planning to put that in?
I don't know if they have to pour concrete for that. Do you remember, Doug, when you?
I don't believe they have any concrete. The posts might be set in concrete, but that would be the only thing when they install the jungle gym or whatever you call it, that playground equipment stuff. It has posts that go in the ground. They might have to put concrete.
What's the ETA they're going to put that in?
Well, it's in January.
That's
okay.
That's their proposed date. Of course, they put in there the disclaimer with the supply chain issues that could be pushed back. But right now, that's in. Pete and Tony Moraine got the site all prepped. It's all ready to go. All we have to do is mark it with some white paint or white flags, one of the two, where we want their border to go, the new border that we paid for. So
cool. So that's going. The Clayton Cafe has slowed down, and I know we were talking before the meeting a little bit about that. That owner bought a place in Plainfield, a hotel, and he's pulled his crew off that. He said it was only supposed to be a couple of weeks, but it's been more like 6 weeks now. So we'll see. I did put a stop work order on there. I have met with them and lifted that so they can do work now. And no, they are not planning to put an apartment on the first floor. At least that's what the owner is saying. That's one of the reasons why I put a stop work order on it. The other question is, I've got a couple code complaints out there. House on Pennsylvania. I can't think of the other house that's down from you guys at the corner. I've got a couple out there that we're working with. I'm going to have a couple more that I'm going to be sending notices to when where the tarp blew off the roof that's vacant house, and a couple other things just following up on that. The question is how aggressive do we want to be on code enforcement. I've had a couple others that, and one gentleman came to me and said, well, I'm going to complain about my neighbor, just don't look at my backyard. And I'm of the opinion, if somebody's making progress, I'll give them plenty of time, especially if there's a financial situation or other things that I know of. And I've been doing that, and the biggest problem one has been doing some cleanup slowly, but kind of where that concrete was that they had to go pick up. So they are making progress, but it's slow. If you are fine with me taking that philosophy, I'll be glad to take it slow and make incremental progress. So I'm just looking for.
I think as long as there's measured progress, I'm fine with that. I know, one property that you and I have already talked about. This has been going on for almost 3 years now of talking to this property owner and saying, you got to get this, stuff cleaned up, and so he'd move one vehicle, and then like 8 months would go by and not another thing would happen.
He secured it after I posted it, but I haven't seen anything since he secured it.
He moved some vehicles away, and then he brought one back. And it's like, so.
Again, that's what I'm working on.
Right.
He's going to get a letter from me, a formal letter. I'll be nice in the first letter, and then the second letter I'll put into the code.
Okay.
So, the plan there. We talked about Mr. Penner down south. I worked with Graham. I kind of worked with Graham and worked with Mr. Penner, and I created a letter with my signature on his thing for the sewer treatment thing that he's doing down there to satisfy the state. He seems to think what I put together will be fine, so he's submitting that paperwork. So hopefully we don't have to go back through that whole item and go back to the Plan Commission and back to council with all the public notices again. So that's why you're not seeing it this month or next month. So did that. And then finally I wanted to bring up, I'm working with a residential developer that would like to sit down and talk to a couple council members about a proposed project in town sometime next week, and we're just looking for dates. And out of 5 of you, I think I can have 2 of you in a room and not have an illegal meeting. So just want to know who to work with from council on that. And I believe this gentleman's going to look at a 60 to 100 acres parcel, so that would be anywhere from low hundreds units to a couple hundred unit subdivision. So there's a lot of hurdles to go forward that he wants to kind of talk to council if they're even open to that kind of development, that scale of development. So
did you have a day or time in mind, or?
He said he was pretty flexible next week. So if council has a day and a time that a couple of you can meet, I can shoot him an email to confirm.
If it could be late in the afternoon or evening would be actually better, I would say on it.
I can be available anytime.
Okay.
Next week.
So
there you go. Dave and Steve.
So after what kind of time?
Yeah, after 4 after.
I'll include you both on an email.
That works best for me too, but I can be there anytime.
Obviously, I'll flex my schedule to work in the afternoons instead of the morning when we do that. So,
or get you a pizza shop.
Right. I can tell you, even if he had a piece of property under contract, which he doesn't, it's kind of a 2-year. It's a long process before there's really any home building. There's a zoning process they'd have to go through, and then infrastructure roads and stuff like that. So it's to build a house today on a farm field, it's 2.5 years after they put it under contract before you actually see houses going up, there's a lot of work to get done before that, if we wanna go that way. So, you know, we talked, I think, before that we're right on the fringe of development, or at least I have with several of you, and that's another reason why to update our comp plan, because the current one actually contemplates some development in a couple of the areas he's looking at. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else got any questions for Jeff? All right, Pete, you got anything? Judy? Graham? All right, I got your email this afternoon about the snowbird policy. That's what I'm calling it. we have residents who go, you know, to Florida to live during the winter and stuff, and we were just looking at what we can do to, you know, make that a more formal process. So that'll help. I'll work with Judy and Jenny, and we'll figure out a system. We might have to have some more, like some paperwork, like we talked about before.
Okay.
They fill out a formal application to not get billed while they're out of town.
Okay.
And some other things that we'll have to work on for that. But thanks for getting that email to me. All right. Anything else from Jenny?
Mm-hmm.
You do? All right.
I want to, by the end of the month, next month, see if there's enough money. We need new flags. They look horrible. So when Walt comes in, I'm going to see how many there is and if that's okay with you guys, because if there's enough money to transfer over to buy some new flags.
I know earlier in the year, Pete and I talked about, and we have 40 up, right?
Is it 40?
So,
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll probably have enough for 40, but.
we were kind of looking at the possibility of, you know, like setting up a rotation of replace, you know, like 5 this year, 5 next year, and have replace the worst ones, and then go through maybe a cycle of replacing some every year, but not having to buy 40 all at once kind of thing.
Well, if you get some, I'd say get as many as you can first time, because they're all pretty bad.
Yeah, they are.
The ones we have are nylon, aren't they? Pretty sure they're nylon.
I think so.
They seem to last better in the weather.
And then also, in case anybody wants any of it, there's they're doing the banners again for the military, but the deadline is, they've changed it, it's November the 20th. So if you know anybody that wants to do one of these.
And I think Dave posted that on the website, so that helps.
I've got that.
Get that out. But last time I remember, she talked to us about how she had.
She told me the other day she only had 3 from Clayton.
Oh, really?
That's why she
I
extended.
thought she had a.
That's why she extended the deadline.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
So I hung some of these up in the post office.
Okay.
Got a hold of Dave to put it on the website.
Right. Yeah, that's important to get that information out, because I thought she said she had a waiting list from last year of people who had wanted to, but we only had enough room for 18, so.
Well, we got enough room for 15 more right now.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Steve?
I'm good.
Do you have anything, John? Lynn?
Nope. She goes to the end of that meeting too.
Okay. Consensus to adjourn?
Adjourn.
All right. Meeting at 8.